Next on the program, we are looking at two religious fathers tonight, versus St. Francis, really, but this is written by Liszt, who was the rock star of the piano in the 19th century. In the beginning of his career, he lived a very long and industrious life, one of classical music's most prolific composers. He was a traveling virtuoso, and he adopted Hewell's approach of turning the piano to its profile. That's why we have that this way now. We like to be center stage, Mr. Liszt. By 1840, he imagined a dramatic concept of soliloquies on stage by musicians, and a performer giving an entire evening of music, which had never previously been done. So he termed these musical soliloquies and later recital, to recite. He was the first pianist to get a solo piano recital as such, and we honor him today as the father of the solo piano recital. Franz Liszt did have 3 children, including a son, Daniel, who died at a very early age of 20 in 1859, and a daughter who also died very early, shortly after 1862, who was only 26. He also had a marriage thwarted by the Vatican at the same time. A lot of life events may have led him to the Santa Maria del Rosario, Amanta Maria, a convent, where he stayed from 1863, right after that, until 1868. He was 52 when he retreated to solitary life. He did not ever come back with that. He was composed the 2 legends of St. Francis, and eventually became a Franciscan abbey during this time. His life changed drastically. The 2 legends were composed when he first entered the monastery, the first things he did in June of 1863, while he was an abbey in the San Franciscan order. This period was important. It was the first of Francis legends of St. Francis Assisi, that he wrote about the legend of St. Francis communicating with the animals. And the second describes the story of St. Francis of Paula in music. According to the famous story, in the year 1464, St. Francis was refused passage by a boatman while trying to cross the Straits of Messina to Sicily. He reportedly laid his cloak on the water, tied one end to his staff as a sail, and sailed across the strait with his compatriots following in the boat. So, St. Francis of Paula, Marching on the Water, is the name of this etude written by Liszt in the monastery. Incidentally, St. Francis was Liszt's patron saint, and it may have been the reason that he retained a particular affection for that piece until the end of his days. well known. He lived at the same time as Haydn and Mozart. He's a Catalan composer, and his works stand from about Baroque to early classical. He's mostly one-movement sonatas, similar to his teacher, Domenico Scarlatti. He constitutes a very important, quite underrated contribution to the harpsichord and organ and piano repertoire. Solaire's life as a priest was certainly full of activities. He had 20-hour workdays, led to a large output of music in which he produced more than 500 compositions, including around 150 keyboard sonatas and Catholic liturgical music, including masses. You'll see the influence of Scarlatti in his sonatas, in the folkloric and national elements, in the imitation of the Spanish guitar music, in his instrumental technique, namely accented ornaments, large leaps across the keyboard in this piece. So there's B minor sonata.